Hello and welcome to Living with Intent. In this video, I want to talk about diabetes, what it is, and how to prevent it. Now, even if you're diabetic, I'm almost certain that you don't understand what diabetes is, and I know that your doctor doesn't understand for the most part. There are many doctors who kind of follow the staple guidances without quite understanding the disease. Now, this is not an attack on doctors per se. There's many doctors who actually know this and they will not provide the standard treatment. So if you're getting the standard treatment for diabetes, then you might want to listen to this video. And this is not about whether you have diabetes or not. This is an important topic, diabetes, whether you have it or don't have it, because everything revolves around diabetes, irrespective of whether you have it or not. So, now the first thing that I have an issue with is your doctor may say you're not diabetic. Your doctor may say you're pre-diabetic. How do they know that? Of course, they're taking your blood sugar in a fasted state. Hopefully, you've been fasted state. And based on that number, 100, I think these days is 100. If it's 100, you got diabetes. If it's 99, you got pre-diabetes. And if it's somewhat less than 90 or whatever it is, then you're not diabetic. I think they've got this number. When I say I think, I'm not saying it's like my own idea. There's so much I've read about this stuff, and it clues me in. And of course, when you understand diabetes itself, remember, I'm not a doctor, nutritionist. I'm an engineer. So I'm saying what I'm saying from my own experiences and from the stuff that I've read. I believe I've read things that are valid science or good science, but I've been filtering out a bunch of things. And looking at all the meta-analysis that I've done over the years, this is the conclusion I've come to. So take it for what it is. If you understand diabetes, then you will understand that the number they use to tell you whether you're pre-diabetic or diabetic is wrong. It's just that simple. Diabetes is not a number. Diabetes is a state of the body. It's a very specific state of the body. We'll get into that. And irrespective of the number you have, your blood sugar number you have, fasted blood sugar, if your body is in that state, it's in that state. I mean, it's just that simple. And there are many symptoms to whether your body is in that state or not. If you're putting on weight or have already put on weight, you are in that state. If you have other issues like some lack of sensation or odd feeling in your extremities, fingers, toes, you're diabetic. If you have cataract or have had cataract, you're diabetic. It doesn't matter to me, at least, what the doctor tells you, because you don't get these problems unless you're diabetic. And you've been diabetic for many, many years, because it doesn't happen one day to the next. It's not like I became diabetic today and then tomorrow I got cataract. It takes years for the cataract to develop. The sad part is, over those years, your doctor is telling you you don't have diabetes, or they're saying you're okay, right? So for me, you're in a diabetic state, not based on a number, but if certain things start to occur in your body, you're diabetic. Okay, the first sign or first symptom is you either have difficulty losing weight or you're beginning to put on weight, depending on your age and various other things. Stuff can happen. Now, we all put on weight as we age. Yeah, exactly. So we're all diabetic. And that's what I meant when I said this earlier. It doesn't matter whether you have diabetes or not. This video is important for everyone. Children, same thing. They may not call these children diabetic. Maybe as a child, your body is a little more resilient to some of these issues. But over the years of that same abuse, that child is going to become diabetic very quick, very soon. And they'll see a bunch of symptoms even before they get to that point. So, what is diabetes? Diabetes is actually called insulin resistance. I'll get into the details. This is going to be a little heavy, this talk. I'll try and be as less medical as I can. I'm not medical myself, but I know when I talk, some people say, "Oh my God, all these terms you're throwing at us." So I'll try and keep it simple, and I think it's a simple concept to understand. Insulin resistance. So what does that even mean? It means your body is resistant to insulin. Think of it like this. If you don't ever drink and you had your first, shot of alcohol, you feel high. But if you continue to drink that, there comes a time very quickly where you don't get that same buzz in that one glass. You need 2, maybe 3 glasses, and over the years you need more and more. Your body is becoming resistant to alcohol. The same thing happens with smoking or anything else, right? So the idea of the body becoming resistant to something is that once you do it often enough, the body starts to dull down the reaction to it by a mechanism where the body essentially pulls back the receptors for that thing. And I'll get more into details about this. Let's just talk about insulin for a bit. So insulin resistance, great, okay. So you understand conceptually the idea that insulin resistance means the body has now become resistant to insulin. What is insulin? Insulin is a hormone. It's called the fat storage hormone. It has 2 functions, or 2 primary functions. Our cells, imagine this is a cell, 3-dimensional cell. This is a cell wall. When we eat, typically, the typical diet, we eat carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are sugar to the body. So when I say sugar or carbohydrates or blood glucose or blood sugar, it's all the same thing. It doesn't matter what it is. It eventually ends up becoming blood sugar. I eat a slice of bread, I get blood sugar. I eat a bowl of rice, I get blood sugar. I eat a potato, I get blood sugar. It's sugar. The body doesn't understand this to be grains or milk or whatever. It's sugar. So when you eat, the sugar, your blood sugar rises in the blood. The sugar levels in your blood rises. Now, when the body sees that, it secretes, the pancreas secrete insulin, this hormone. In order for the cells, every cell in your body needs to get energy. In order for the cells in your body to uptake sugar for energy, in order for the body or the cells in your body to be able to absorb that sugar in the bloodstream for energy, they need insulin. Think of it like insulin is the gatekeeper or the keeper to a lock. And when insulin comes in and unlocks the door, sugar can go into your cell. Every cell in your body has this idea of insulin receptors. So just imagine the cell like a golf ball with the pits, and on those pits are insulin receptors. And as blood sugar goes by in the bloodstream, the body secretes insulin, and these insulin receptors can now latch on, or the insulin can latch on to the insulin receptors. And once that happens, sugar in the bloodstream can go into the cell to be then digested for energy, right? So the way I would say that is, in order for the cells in your body to uptake sugar for energy, they need insulin. If there's no insulin, you cannot uptake that sugar for energy. So that's the type 1 diabetic. The issue with the type 1 diabetic is that body does not produce either any insulin, the pancreas, any or not enough, whatever the case may be. And these are generally detected at a very, very early stage, where at some point the child just starts to lose weight, and they go for a checkup and they find out they're a type 1 diabetic. So a type 1 diabetic does not produce insulin or not enough insulin. Therefore, the body is not able to get enough energy from the food they eat, which is typically carbs. All right. So there are insulin receptors on the cell walls of every cell. When you eat carbohydrates, blood sugar rises. When blood sugar rises, insulin is secreted from the pancreas, and every cell in the body requires insulin to uptake blood sugar for energy. And the way that works is the cells have insulin receptors. So as insulin comes in the bloodstream, insulin latches itself onto each of these receptors. And once the insulin is latched onto the receptors, insulin lets blood sugar through inside the cell, and the cell can then use that sugar for energy, and that's how you get energy. All right. You do this for years now, right? You're eating carbs. Every meal is a carb. Maybe you're having 5-6 meals a day, and this goes on for years. At some point, the body starts to become insulin resistant. I believe it's because the body's feeding the damage. There's a lot of damage being done when you digest sugar for energy as compared to fat. A lot of damage. So the body starts to get damaged. And then the body says, okay, I'm done with this sugar thing. I don't want any more sugar. The sugar is damaging my cells. I just don't. So every cell is thinking for itself. Say, okay, I'm done. I don't want any more sugar. So how does the cell tell the body it's not interested in sugar for energy? You know those insulin receptors that the cells have, the dimples in the golf ball? It starts to pull those receptors in. So now the surface of the cell has way fewer insulin receptors. It has become insulin resistant. The receptors are there, they're inside the cell, but the cells have pulled these receptors in. Not wanting any more insulin. It's done. It doesn't want any more sugar. That's a type 2 diabetic. Insulin resistance is type 2 diabetes. I cannot understand why doctors tell type 2 diabetics to have insulin, because their problem is not that they're not producing insulin. Their problem is that they're insulin resistant, therefore the cells have pulled back the insulin receptors, and the cell doesn't want more insulin. It's not that the cell doesn't see the insulin going by, it doesn't want it. It's kind of had it, it's full up, it's done. Years and years of abuse, it's done. Now, so the cells are not uptaking sugar for energy. The sugar is still there in the bloodstream. Insulin's job is take any excess energy, sugar, and store it as fat. It's the fat storage hormone. That's what it does. If blood sugar is not uptaken by the cells for energy, it takes the excess blood sugar and it converts it to fat. If you're gaining weight, you are diabetic. Symptom number 1. If you have gained weight or gaining weight, are not able to lose weight, you are diabetic. Okay. So, insulin resistance is a type 2 diabetic is actually got insulin resistance. The number doesn't matter to me. What your fasted blood sugar number is makes no difference to me. I never believed it, and after reading everything I've read, I don't believe that the number that the doctors go by is correct. Now again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm far from anything medical. I've just read a whole bunch of things and I've come to my conclusion doing this meta-analysis. And I understand diabetes from a different perspective. It's not a number. You have to understand if the body is insulin resistant or not. And the way you understand that is, one simple way is, if you're gaining weight, there's one reason for you to gain weight. Excess energy in the bloodstream is being stored as fat. Why is it excess? Because the body's not taking it on. Now, there's this flip side to that. Let's say I had a meal, just sort of standard meal with carbs in it. And let's say this meal had 1,000 calories, just as an example, round number. I ate 1,000 calories, most of it sugar. The body's insulin resistant. I'm eating a meal that size or with those calories because that's kind of, I'm hungry, that's what I think I need to eat. So I'm eating it and I'm expecting to get the energy of 1,000 calories. But what happens? Because your cells are not uptaking the blood sugar for energy because they become insulin resistant, that excess sugar that's been running around in your bloodstream gets stored by insulin as fat. You didn't actually get 1,000 calories worth of energy. You probably got whatever, depending on the severity of your insulin resistance, you got more or less, but let's say you got half, just as a mathematical, easy thing to calculate. So you ate 1,000 calories worth of food or energy, half of it got stored as fat, your body got half of it. You're hungry pretty quick. Few hours after your meal, you say, man, I'm getting hungry again. Why is that? Because even though you ate something enough, you didn't get that energy. You didn't get all of that energy. It got stored as fat. But you're now forced to eat again. And so you end up the snacking and this whole thing. So that's really the sort of the genesis of this whole thing. If you got to keep eating, you're diabetic. Because there's no reason for you to be eating all the time. Anything, whatever it may be. Some people say, oh, these are carrots or whatever. It doesn't matter. The fact that you're munching on something, the body is forcing you to eat because it is starving. You've just eaten 1,000 calorie meal. The body only got half of that. It's stored the other way, other half, for a rainy day. That never happens. And now you're living off half the calories and you get hungry pretty quick. And the cycle repeats. So diabetes is insulin resistance. It's nothing to do with the number. At least, for me, I wouldn't believe it. Now because of my diet and the way, my lifestyle, my normal blood sugar is between 42 to 47. After a meal, it might go up to 60 and then comes back down. That's my normal blood sugar. Most doctors think you should be fainted by then. How could you be even getting up? Oh, don't get up slowly. No, you'll get dizzy. No such thing happens. I've been in this state for years. I never have any issues. I never have dizzy spells. I do a normal, life, daily life, working out, the whole 9 yards. My blood sugar is 47. That's it, 47. And as after a meal, depending on what I eat, it goes up a little bit. For a person who's not on this kind of a diet, I personally believe your fasted sugar should be 70 and below. If it's over 70, you're diabetic. It doesn't matter what your doctor tells you. But again, remember, I'm not a doctor. I'm going by how I understand diabetes works and the symptoms you get. It's not about a number. 100, it's nice round numbers, and you're like, where did it come from exactly? Now, I know where it came from, but just you should ask that question. So 100, does it like this number? Why is it not 101? Why is it not 101.2? Yeah. So hopefully this video is giving you an idea of diabetes, what it really is medically, and what it does and what the symptoms are. Now, this might scare some of you, and I speak in hyperbole, so to make a point. Diabetes, in my opinion, diabetes is the beginning of the end. I mean this very seriously, not because I speak in hyperbole, but it is truly, in my mind, the start of a journey downhill. Your health is going to be deteriorating and your body is going to be deteriorating drastically, super, super fast. Now, of course, in the span of a human lifetime, it's really fast. So be very mindful of it. All kinds of things start or stem from diabetes. It's not like they stem from diabetes. They stem from the state of being in the state of insulin resistance. Once your body becomes insulin resistant, all kinds of things start to go wrong. It's not about, did my doctor tell me I'm diabetic or not? So you can wait for your doctor to tell you you're diabetic or not. Or you can do your own research and understand what diabetes is and take measure accordingly. Now, you could be diabetic without putting on weight. So that's the other sort of the rub. But for most of us, if we are starting to put on weight or can't lose weight easily, then we are diabetic. From the body's perspective, maybe not from a medical science perspective or with the doctor's perspective, but from a body perspective, you have insulin resistance. Therefore, you're putting on weight, and therefore your body is starving, and therefore you're having to eat, or you feel like you have to eat constantly. And you're always going for the carbs. And each time you go for the carbs, the same thing happens. The next meal, so let's imagine we went back. This one meal we just had, 1,000 calories were ingested, 500 calories got stored as fat. The body got 500 calories worth of energy. 2 hours later, I'm hungry again. Another 1,000 calories, 500 calories get stored as fat, 500 calories get ingested for energy, digested for energy. This constant state of high blood sugar, low blood sugar, high blood sugar, low blood sugar, is this yo-yoing is keeping you in a very mentally in a unstable state. You're constantly thinking about food. When's the next meal? What should I have for the next meal? You've hardly finished lunch and you're planning your dinner out. I've been there, so I'm not something special. I've just learned from all of this. So some people think, fat people are fat because they eat too much. Really? Just think about what I said earlier, not now. Some people think fat people are fat because they eat too much, or you're putting on weight because you're eating too much. Really? Could it be that you're eating too much because you're fat? Not the other way around. Think about this. You're forced to eat more and more often because you're fat. Why are you fat? Because you're insulin resistant. Now, diabetes, like many chronic, almost all metabolic diseases, is curable. How do you cure it? Get on one of these diets that I've been talking about. In the previous video, I talked about various strategies for health and weight loss. Get on one of those and you can cure your diabetes for good. No medication required. Depending on how severe your diabetes is, you might want to go and talk to your doctor or whatever it is. That's something you want to be doing on your own. Anyways, if you're already on medication, if you feel you're putting on weight, nobody's yet called you a diabetic, change your diet. Depending on how well you do the diet, as in how sincere you are about this diet, you could lose weight. Not lose weight. You could lose weight certainly, but you can be not diabetic 2 to 3 months if you're sincere about changing your diet around completely. And you won't be getting hungry, and you won't be eating a lot as well, because when you eat fats rather than carbs, remember our bodies are like a hybrid engine. We can burn sugar for energy, or we can burn fat for energy. Burning sugar for energy damages our bodies. Sugar in any form, meaning when I say sugar, I don't mean table sugar, I mean blood sugar. Sugar in any form damages the body. So carbs generally damage the bodies just by being around in the bloodstream. When cells ingest blood sugar for energy, cells get damaged intracellularly. With fat, you don't have that problem. Fat is a free energy, meaning there's no damage. When you burn fat for energy, there's no damage. In fact, there's a whole lot of good. And fats don't give you the highs and lows. So when you're burning fat for energy, you don't get the high and the low. Why is that? Because, there's a lot of fat in your body. So when the body's hungry, it just goes to the fat stores. Finally, all that fat that we've been storing for a rainy day can actually be used up by the body as and when it needs to eat. It's just that simple. So if you are putting on weight, again, you are already diabetic and you want to take some measure of your own, listen to what I'm saying, understand what I'm saying, do your own reading, and then start taking this in your own hands. Diabetes is the beginning of the end. And if you curb that today, right now, you can save yourself from a whole host of diseases down the line. Diabetes can start you off. Now, I don't mean as a diabetic, as the doctors might say, but if you're in a state of insulin, once you're in a state of insulin, all kinds of things start to happen. Some of us may get some of them, all of them, whatever. You're going to get them. Heart disease, Alzheimer's, cancer. I'm not kidding. All of these and many, many metabolic diseases are caused because you're in a state of insulin resistance. It's the beginning of the end. So I hope this video has been useful and you enjoy it. And if you have any questions, please subscribe. If you've come up to this point, you must be enjoying these things, I hope. Please subscribe, hit the notify bell as well. Put in any comments, I'll try and answer your questions, and I'll see you in the next video.